Hi, this is Abby, and this video is on Moon in Scorpio. So, the moon in the chart represents the maternal figure growing up, the nurturer, it's generally the mother, whoever had the most influence on the child from from births to about age 6. And it represents your emotional reaction to the world, your emotional health, how you react instinctually to situations before your mind comes in, like logic and your conscious thoughts. So if you have Moon in Scorpio, this is traditionally not a good placement for the moon, and I'll explain why. So the moon is, I'm not sure if I said this with the exact words, but when the moon is in Cancer, it's in its dignity, it's called. So because the moon is the moon naturally rules Cancer, so it's considered its natural placement. When the moon is in Capricorn, therefore, which is the opposite sign of Cancer, it's in its detriment because it's not a comfortable place for it. It's like the opposite of its home. So there's a second sign that the moon is comfortable in. It's like its best friend's house, and that's Taurus. So it's in its exaltation. It's exalted in Taurus, which means it's almost like treated even better in Taurus. Like when a planet is in its exalted sign, it's generally like almost an exaggerated version of the planet. So that's Taurus for the moon. So Scorpio is Taurus's opposite sign, and the moon is in its fall. So it's just not a very comfortable placement for the moon. And I think that's because the moon in Taurus is very concerned with emotional stability and self-preservation, and it receives emotional comfort through like material things, food, routines, that sort of thing. But in Scorpio, the moon is a difficult placement because Scorpio emotionally is so deep, and it can be very dark. So I think that's why traditionally it's not considered a good placement, just from the mix of what the planet is and what this sign is. But obviously if you have it, it doesn't mean you have poor emotional health. It's just traditional astrology that I wanted to explain. But Moon in Scorpio is interesting. Excuse me. So I've known some people with Moon in Scorpio. I dated one for a long time. And Moon in Scorpio is a very dedicated moon. Like if you have Moon in Scorpio, your mother or your maternal influence was like someone who you were really intimate with, who kind of knew you without having to, or knew your needs without you having to express them. She may have been a little manipulative, which is where the bad parts of Scorpio moon come out. Or you might have seen like a sexualized version of your mother from an early age. So you therefore view women kind of like that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Some people say that Moon in Scorpio means you suffered some sort of like abuse or early sexualization. Again, it doesn't have to be that way. But when you grow up and you're an adult, Moon in Scorpio, it's a very secretive sign. So your emotions you keep very close to the chest. You don't really reveal how you're feeling easily, because whereas Taurus is about self-preservation, Scorpio is about survival. So with your moon in Scorpio, you're all about survival and protection of your emotions. And the reason is because Scorpio is actually a very emotional sign. It's a water sign, and it's a fixed water sign. So it can hold on to emotions longer than the other water signs can or are willing to. Scorpio has a tendency of going into relationships so deeply that it is so committed that it can be dangerous for the emotional health of the person. So with Moon in Scorpio, you might not let go of relationships easily. You might hold resentments a long time, like forever. You might never forget a hurt. I knew a girl in high school who had Moon in Scorpio, and I did something that was not good. I did something that was like mean to her, and I didn't really mean to. It was kind of like an accidental thing, but I should have known better. And I always felt like she never forgave me. Like, she and I were close friends, and she said that she forgave me, but I always felt this sort of like that she would never trust me again. And I just don't think she ever did. So we just never had the same relationship. And I can respect that. I'm not, I have a fixed moon as well. And it's difficult to get over things when you have a fixed sign moon. The fixed signs are Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. But Scorpio holds on to emotional hurts a long time. They can't forgive. And that's a self-protection thing. That's basically like, if you hurt me, I'm not letting you back in my life because I can't trust you. So they can have trust issues. But they're also really devoted to people. Like, they're friends for life. If they've decided that you're okay with them, they'll forgive you a lot. Like, that same girl was actually, she had a best friend that she was best friends with through thick and thin. And, I can respect that. So, if you're a man with moon in Scorpio, you look for a woman that's kind of going to understand your needs without you having to actually vocalize them, which can be difficult. It's a lot of pressure to put on a woman. So, but if you find one like that, it's golden. You'll be together forever. And you keep your emotions very secret. But you have this sort of air of mystery about you, and if you're a woman, you have the same. And it's also this sort of emotional, like, depth people can sense about you, because you will look people straight in the eye when they're talking about emotions. You don't shy away from them like some other moon signs do. If you're even if you're a man, like, you might not like react as much because it's not appropriate in our society for men to have emotions or to like get involved in emotional talk. But you're still going to totally like relate to people who are going through something hard, because Scorpio is a sign of regeneration and transformation, and it has to do with the life-death cycles. So you don't shy away from like things like death and dying and those subjects that make other people uncomfortable. You intuitively understand that that's part of life, and you relate to people through crisis. So you actually almost like are drawn to that sort of thing, like people who are in trouble. This is for men and women with moon in Scorpio. But men, you're looking for women who kind of personify your feelings, because you're not really openly allowed to express them in our culture. Men are more their sun sign. So you're looking for women who have that air of mystery, that kind of self-control, sort of hidden power, a sexuality that you could kind of sense. Don't shy away from like intimacy and depth, and are loyal. If you're a woman, you exemplify those qualities. And your emotional health comes from having intimate connections with people. And also, a healthy way for moon in Scorpio to express itself and to fulfill its emotional needs is to like be there for people who need sort of counseling. Counseling's a really good thing for moon in Scorpio people. Be there for friends who need that help during times like when they're losing someone, when they've had a death in the family, when they went through something traumatic. You're the person to be there. And if you can kind of incorporate that into your life on a regular basis, it will really help you to have that emotional fulfillment. The Scorpio sign is represented obviously by the scorpion, but the higher signs, the higher, I should say, like, representations of the sign are the eagle or the phoenix, which rises from the ashes. So you kind of have that quality, and if you can hone in on it, and if you can use your own level of ability to have self-control in a good way rather than projecting it onto others and trying to control them because you can't control yourself, sometimes moon in Scorpio does that, then you can pretty much get through anything. Like, you can decide you're going to do something and you have the willpower to stick to it and to make it happen, because you're tenacious, and you'll see something through. So just be careful of trying to manipulate people, because sometimes you might do that if you're feeling like bad. All moon signs have bad things, but Scorpio moon it's a very interesting placement for the moon. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Thank you for watching.